welcome into Carpooling with Ben. Happy 2021, ladies and gentlemen. As we move through, continuing the virtual series here on the Carpooling, I've been so excited to talk with today's guest. She is an amazingly talented performer. She is a singer. She is a songwriter. And despite my best efforts, she refuses to play a 7-string guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, Kim Petrarca, how are you? So great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so great to see you as well. It's been a long time.
It has been a few years, yes, but I followed your journey online. You know, you were up here in Southern New England. We met through the Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses, the Search for an Idol, and you performed and stuff, and you were one of the 5 finalists, and your music is great. You're very talented. You have a wonderful writing style about you. I mean, it's just, you've got a little bit of edge, you got a little bit of softness. You're just really, such a talent. You went down to Nashville for a few years, and now you're back up here. So let's catch up with you. But before we do that, kind of what's your background as far as, your history? How did you get into the music scene?
Well, I have always been a poet, just a writer. I love words, and that to me is what gets me first in a song. I know a lot of people hear melody first or the mood first, but it's always the lyrical content that has always really struck a chord within me. So I've been writing poems since I was like 10 years old, and then always in chorus in junior high. Then high school, I was in choir, and my last year in high school, I had some amazing teachers. They've really shaped my journey and love of music. I have to take a second to thank Mr. Buchanan, Mr. DeGrade, and Ms. Smith, like the best human male music teachers in the world. They were awesome, super supportive. They always pushed us. But my final year in high school, Mr. Smith said, why don't you play an instrumental workshop? Your voice, that's cute. Pick an instrument. He was really cut and dry. He's like, you got to have something else to go with it. So sure. I literally went to the closet, picked out a guitar, and started playing guitar when I was 18 years old.
Well, that's an incredible story. And I think that's something special that people, may not be aware, that you could start later at the age of 18, picking up an instrument. You could be 20, you could be 30, whatever. But I mean, your story is just find it and fall in love with it and do it. And that's what you've been doing. You've written a great number of songs. You perform locally. So you went to Nashville for a short period of time, and you wanted to check the scene out. What was that like?
It was awesome. I mean, I highly recommend to anybody, no matter what your passion is, go somewhere else to try to experience something different. If you only know this small little state, and it is a great state, people knock it, but there's a bond. Once a Rhode Island girl, always a Rhode Island girl. I loved Nashville. It was incredible. It was just, I had nobody there that I knew. So it was just starting from fresh. And you can kind of be whoever you want to be when there's nobody there that knows your story beforehand. And I made a ton of great friends and was lucky enough to play some of the most famous places in Nashville. And just, I had an amazing time. I highly recommend anybody get away from the state for a little while. I look at Nashville as college for me. It was my 4 years. I didn't leave the state to go to school. So this was like my little college time. And it was incredible. At the end of the day, I missed home, but not so much for the location, but for my family, for my friends. I've got 2 young nephews, and the beach, I was warned. It feels very claustrophobic. You feel very landlocked.
Sure. No, I've been down there. I've visited, and obviously it's a very inspiring area. There's I just found the schedule incredible. Just really there on, Music Row. It just, you see musicians like, oh, I'm playing here, then I'm going to go here and there. And it's just, you just kind of, ping pong back and forth all the way up and down. What did it do for you creatively? How did that affect you being down there?
I think being surrounded by such talented songwriters, it's not like a needle in a haystack. There's definitely a ton of great musicians up here in Rhode Island and in New England, but there's, however many more times in a smaller area in the, Nashville area. But it was just inspiring that, they always say, as far as the band is, you're only as good as your worst player. When you are surrounding yourself by these incredibly talented writers and players, you're pushing yourself to write better, to learn different tactics, and to write with other people. It's really huge for co-writing down there. I mean, I was lucky enough to have a bunch of co-writes lined up, and I recorded 2 of them that I've released, one with Jordan Miller and one with Brendan James. So
Wow.
and I also, on my last record, there's a co-write with Brian McKenzie on there too. So I mean, once you start doing that, these people just push you, try this chord, maybe change this word, maybe take it from another perspective. So it was a push for sure.
I think back to, years ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago, where we didn't have the connectivity through social media. We didn't have these various outlets there. And really, if you wanted to go to Nashville, you had to stay there for a long time. You really had to commit so much time down there. Now, with obviously virtual everything and just these connective rings that tie us together, making it so much easier, I think a story like yours and a plan like yours, to be down there for a few years, you could go, you could have gone anywhere else. You could come back home. You could have gone anywhere else and continued, doing different things. And it makes it easier to have those relationships and foster that growth. But I think you bring up a great point. You still have to make a commitment to be down there for some time.
You do. I mean, it depends on why you're going there. If you're trying to make it as a songwriter, you're looking at least, 5 to 10 years before you get the cut. But as you said, when you make those relationships, it does make it easier. You could ask Kevin, he knows a bunch of people, Kevin Hershen, he knows a bunch of people down there. So, he can stay at an Airbnb, or he could just stay at a friend's house if he's just coming down for the weekend to do a couple of co-writes or to shoot a quick video. One of my best friends lives down there now. And I mean, I talk to him every day. He and his wife, they just had a baby. Hi, Jamie and Courtney. But, I have plans to go down there and not have to get a hotel because I've got a place to stay with them.
That's awesome. To build those relationships and stuff. So you're back up here. Obviously the pandemic is what it is, and you've been grinding it out, taking whatever opportunities, jumping through the hoops, putting up the plexi. It's funny. You got your amp, you got your chords, you got everything you need. Oh, do you have your shields? Yes. It's like you're going into battle. But what's it been like as things have reopened? Because you have had the opportunity to play some since, we kind of got out of that initial wave back in the spring. You have been able to play. What's it been like for you? And how has that changed your outlook or your appreciation for live performance?
Yeah. Well, I definitely miss it a lot. And nothing is the same. I think I had my last gig at Grill on Main back in March, I think, before everything really went nuts. And then one random gig in New York before everything got shut down. And I didn't play again until I had the Newport to Nashville with Johnny Gates and Troy Ramey. And that gig was amazing, but we were 6 feet apart from each other, and the audience was not to come with the stage. And it was a great night. And props to Jonathan Perry and Newport Playhouse and to David Steitz, who ran the sound. It was an awesome night, but that was the last time that I played because it got really bad after that in Rhode Island, the lockdown. And I'm seeing people are just starting to get out there and play again. And, kudos to them, but I'm not in a position where I'm ready to do that just yet. I did a live stream with Mary Day early on, but just not yet. I think I'm going to wait until more people are vaccinated, and I'm not stating whether I'm for or against it.
No,
but I'm just saying, I want to be safe. I want to be safe. I want the people that I love to be safe. And I don't want to fall into that situation where I have to go 2 weeks without seeing anybody that I love if I've been exposed or inadvertently exposing somebody that I care about.
I feel like being an accordion player really, at such a young age, prepared me because nobody ever wanted to sit close to me. They wanted to be in other rooms.
Market for that.
They often shoved things in my mouth. Socks. That's kind of a cloth cover.
So you were ready for this.
Yeah. Isolation in a locker. Mary V. Quirk School. You learn a lot, right? So I know obviously from a live side, we've covered that. What are you looking to do in 2021, or do you go by the calendar year, or do you go by shorter term goals as far as what's the next things you want to accomplish?
It's musically, I want to release another EP hopefully this year. I have a handful of songs that I really want to do a stripped down thing with. But I haven't been playing as much as I should. And that's part of this whole thing too. It's people aren't really paying a lot of attention to the mental effect that it's having on everybody. I mean, it's a bummer. I work from home full time.
Yeah.
So when I get out of work and I can't go anywhere,
yeah.
I've been drinking a lot of wine. But you'd think that would motivate me to say, okay, you know what? Make friends with your guitar, pick her up. And I do. I'm looking at it right now. It's right next to my desk. Yeah. Once in a while, I'll just sneak away, play a few chords, things that I've been working on. But I really want to, for this year, make it a point to set that time to make sure to keep writing, keep creating. I've been writing words all along, as I always have, but stick to it and to put some stuff to music and make some more songs and get back in the studio once it's safe.
You know, you bring up an interesting element of being, I think, a poet first and somebody who writes the lyrics first. You know, a traditional musician who started their musical journey or their journey into this art form through an instrument, you know, they may be more driven towards picking it up and strumming or whatever you do with the accordion, or you know, it's you know, something with the instrument. But for you, the instrument primarily in the beginning was a pen and paper, and so you know that's an interesting kind of it's an interesting interchange. I think that's something unique, and you know, that's, you know, you don't necessarily have to pick up the instrument, the guitar or whatever. It's like this, right? That's how you guys.
Yeah, that seems right.
Yes, I'm so smart. Always wanted to. But that's a really cool thing. Are you a pen and paper when you do it? Are you a lined notebook writer, or are you like one of those like free form, like there's no lines on the paper, you just write your lyrics or your poems that way? It
really depends on what's at arm's reach. Like, okay, I'm at my work desk right now, and like I have this here that was just, you know, scraps of lyrics that I'll put to use at some other time. But then I have this here, you know, I have another notebook here that is lined. Sometimes things will come to me when I'm in the car, and I'll, you know, talk to text, voice memo, or and a lot of times at night happens before I'm going to bed. I'll think of something, or like a group of words I hear will feel musical to me, and I'll just kind of write it down, or something will happen that inspires me quickly, but just enough to just write down a little verse, and I just type it into my notes on my phone. And I've got like over 200 notes in my notes. I should probably organize and piece together.
That would ruin the art of it, I think. You know, that's the magic. That's where it comes in with the, you know, it just becomes this, you know, cacophony of the smorgasbord of all these different, you know, clips and phrases and stuff to make it happen. So, Kim, where can people learn more about you, and where can they go to follow you and hear some of your past performances and follow and subscribe for future?
Well, my handle is at Kim Petrarca, Petrarca. Facebook.com/Kim Petrarca Music. My website, KimPetrarca.com. And all my links are up there. My videos are there. My links to my YouTube and my Instagram, iTunes, Pandora, all that stuff. It's right there on the webpage.
Awesome. Well, Kim, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. It was great to catch up with you. You know, one day when you're in like some foul Courtney Love kind of inspirational mood, perhaps you'll write a song about, you know, this conversation we had and you know, the disdain for 7-string guitars and accordions. It could be a hit, could be a category. Just saying. Hey,
I know people who actually have accordions in their songs, and
I have 3 of them in my house.
Now I know where to go.
It's what are we gonna do with these bad boys today? I don't know. It's let's get cracking. Kim Petrarca, ladies and gentlemen, go follow her. She is awesome. That's all you need to know.